at, okay. All right, the first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes of July 20 and August 10. July 20 has been sent out to everybody. August 10, I haven't been able to download because of my computer problems, so we'll do that at the next meeting. Does anybody have any corrections to July 20?
Nope.
Nope.
Can we have a motion to accept them as distributed?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. All right. The next thing on the agenda is a progress report on the work we've been doing to gather estimates for construction, repairs, and improvements that will be a part of our recommendations for the final report. I have been in touch with a painter and have a full report on what will need to be done, not this year, but in the not too far distant future, in terms of the siding and the trim on the building. It includes power washing to get rid of surface and heavy road dust, especially after this construction in town. Preparation of all surfaces, that the power washing is $1,900. Preparation of exterior surfaces, properly prepped for painting, including hand scraping loose and peeling paint, etc., and applying primer. That's $18,000. First coat, second and third coat. The entire thing comes to $61,900 to repaint the whole building, trim, including repair of and caulking and use of wood fillers factored in for the where it's possible. And it would have to be preceded by carpentry repairs where not, where there are rotten sills and trim that just can't be filled and painted. So that's a figure that we can put into estimates for to bring the building up to satisfactory condition. Glenn, have you been able to make any progress on prices for rat slab and insulation in the rear of the building?
In terms of the rat slab, that varies quite a bit depending on what's used, but somewhere between 5,000 and 12,000 is what I've been told and what I found.
What would be the difference between the approaches that would make such a swing in the price? Do they explain that to you?
Well, exactly who does it, that's the biggest one, but I don't know exactly the dimensions either, so I don't have a key to the place. I could get in, but most people I've talked to and what I found online is about that. So
okay, it's only accessible from the outside, by the way. It's at the end of the building facing the ambulance barn, and there
Yes.
are some doors there.
Mhm.
And you can see where the animals take, refuge in the wintertime and make a home. And if we're going to get rid of that problem and also do a better job of heating that back room so that it's usable year round, that's where the rat slab would go.
Yep.
So, and if you get a contract there to look at it and give you a price, they can measurements. I mean,
Yep.
they can just access it from the back. And the insulation would be a foam insulation that would be sprayed under the floor of the back room from the crawl space where the rat slab goes.
Yep.
So anyway, that can be refined further.
Yep.
Is Ed on? I can't see who's on here. I only see you, Glenn.
I don't see Ed.
No,
He said he had work today and he would try to get on from wherever he was, but that's always a problem for him. And we had talked about his getting some figures on landscaping, especially whatever grading needs to be done for ADA access. Let me see. We still need to get update the numbers from the last report for interior improvements according to the plan that was approved, and see what the updated figures would be now that there's been a lot of inflation. We need to include HVAC. We put a number in, which I think was $35,000 2 years ago into the capital improvement plan, which would, I think, mature in 2024. But I'm sure that needs to be updated. And I think we should probably look, I mean, that should be done at the time that any other improvements are put in place, including extending the heat ducts out to the back room and to the pantry, if we're going to use that in a different manner. And I think that was included in the figure that I got a couple of years ago. But now that I think there are incentives for using heat pumps, I'm not sure what the equipment was that was spec'd, but I can ask for an update on that. And the ADA requirements, we're still not sure of exactly what needs to be done other than an ADA compliant restroom and entrance door. I've been exchanging text messages with or emails with Jean, who had planned to have, I thought, Glenn, that you might know more from the last selectmen's meeting, but having listened to or read the minutes to that meeting, I think that was one of the things in a packed meeting that was postponed. And Jean had said that she would be meeting with John Worthington. I have asked and encouraged her to include whatever, any members of the task force that are available to be present for that meeting, because that information is really important to us. It's could be a big number. I don't know if it all has to be done at once. I don't know if there are some, you can petition to in a historic building, not to make all the changes that would be made in a modern building, for example. So I think it's important that at least one or more of us be there and have the same information at the same time that, well, Jean is meeting with John. Are there any other areas where we need to get figures that we might have overlooked? I did get in touch with Marge, and she said that Joyce was working on exterior woodworking repairs. Somehow between the two of you, when you have a chance, and I know you're going away for this next month, starting probably tomorrow, and hope you have a wonderful vacation. We need to make sure that we don't duplicate things that are in the works for this year, and that we include everything that isn't in on the planning for this year, so that we don't overlook things. And I know there are a lot of windows and sills and frames that are badly in need of attention. But I'm not sure what else is being done. I understand there's some work being done to the clapboards at the south end of the building. But Are you on here with us, Joyce?
I am.
Can you just give us a little summary of what's planned so we don't make those duplications?
Well, he's fixing 7 windows to the best of his ability without getting into too far into the rot of the clapboards. He had to, where you had expressed concern about that one clapboard missing in the back of the building. He had to
Yeah.
replace the entire wall because it was rotted and he couldn't adhere a clapboard to it. So that whole thing has been replaced. And basically that's about all he can do for his budget. He's going to look at the, also the front porch. He'll probably be able to power wash that and put some, protectant on that, but he won't get to the side deck. He won't get to the back deck. There's just, I just don't have any more money in the budget once he fixes what he fixes.
Okay, and who is he? Is it Gallagher?
No, it is not.
Somebody
Gallagher
else.
does not have time.
Who's doing the work out of curiosity?
You were there the other day. Did you meet him? His name is Jerry.
No.
Yeah. Yes, he's done other work for the town and I've been very happy with him.
Okay, great. Has he given you prices on the things that are not happening this year or? should
Well,
we
so I did
pursue
walk
that?
around the building with him and I asked him if I had an open checkbook, what would it cost to get the exterior, which included painting, which I didn't realize that you were getting a quote on that. He gave me a price of $200,000, just shy of 200. Included repairs, fixing the decks, painting, replacing some of the replacing all of the windows. I know you think they can be repaired, but a lot of them are nailed shut. They're inoperable. If you're going to use the building and bring it up to ADA code, I firmly believe the windows need to be replaced.
Windows doesn't have anything to do with ADA code, but.
I understand that, but I'm saying if you're bringing the building up to a modern standard, those windows need to be replaced. They're not efficient. When he's trying to repair some of them, it's very delicate work because, as you know, in an old house, he touches one thing and it leads to a
Right.
big mess.
Well, if the windows are gonna be replaced, it would be nice to make sure that they're done with historic considerations.
I agree, but you asked for a wish list.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. How much of that is painting, do you know? Did he give you a written estimate with?
I didn't
detail?
ask for a breakdown. He just sent me a number this morning. I can go over it in more detail with him, but I didn't extract painting. I didn't realize you were doing that as well.
Well, at the last meeting, I had said I'd take care of painting, and I have a number also for the interior, which we reviewed last year, which I think was 3,800 for the one room, but that'll go into interior upgrades, which we don't have yet. If you could get any breakdown of, all these things are in addition to what's being done this year, right?
That's correct.
Okay. If you could get a breakdown and see what painting is.
Yep.
Some of them it would be, if that isn't his specialty and he's gonna subcontract it, that's
No,
something that the town.
That's
could
something he
do
does
directly.
himself.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're working and making some progress on all these. Marge, what can you tell us about the historic designation status? And
I've been working with, suddenly spacing on her name, Marina at the state, and asked her about whether getting it on the register would inhibit or prohibit any changes or restoration inside. And she said, no, basically we'd be able to, or wouldn't be restricted from doing anything that needs to be done to the building. So I still need to go in and take more interior pictures for her. And then she'll come see, or she'll let us know whether she thinks it's something that would be a good candidate for writing up the nomination.
okay, what is the name of the historic designation? I know there are different things.
It's
that
the
state
State Register of
do.
Historic Places, the Connecticut, I think it's Connecticut State Register of Historic Places. Let me look it up.
Okay. Okay, so basically, the biggest concern for them is the exterior. And,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, it's,
being
this is,
sen-
this is not a protection in that sense, but it just adds a level of cachet to it, or, you know, might command more respect for it, but it's not a protective covenant, anything like that. It's called the State Register of Historic Places.
Okay. Okay, so if it were listed on the State Register of Historic Places, would that help us with grant possibilities, or either from the state?
Possibly,
or-
it just bricks and mortar money is very, very difficult to come by.
Mhm.
We could get money through the state, but that usually really is it's a difficult grant to write, and then you have to jump through hoops to do it. You pay for the whole thing up front, and then if they like what you've done, they will reimburse you for half of it. You have to put out bids, and I think in some cases go with the lowest bidder, which is not always the best idea with a historic house. It could be done, but it's bricks and mortar money is very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it might help locally with fundraising if there were people that wanted to participate.
Yeah,
Um, But again, it wouldn't affect interior improvements if we
Correct.
wanted to reconfigure some things. Or
correct.
if the building were sold and another party wanted to
Correct.
turn it into a couple apartments and a commercial
Correct.
space for, yeah. Okay. All
It's
right, well,
not in
that's helpful.
a town. She asked if we had a town historic district down there, and I said, no. There's no,
Well, you know, I looked into that last year or 2 years ago when we were writing the last report. And I have notes on that from someone that I spoke to, that it doesn't, historic district designation doesn't have to be contiguous land. I mean, mostly a district like the north of Kent is pretty defined. But they had and I have to look back at my notes because I don't even remember what town it was. They had added historic district designation to a building that was on an access road to the town, like
Mhm.
Swift House is. But that was not contiguous with any other historic district buildings.
but
there
it
were like-
still wouldn't, it still only affects the outside. The historic districts are
Yeah.
only what's visible from the road. So as far as your question about the
Yeah.
interior, no, there's nothing would protect it, and there's nothing that would restrict work
Yeah.
being done that needs to be done.
Well, I think the objective, if you all agree, would be to protect the exterior so that the look and appearance of the house
Right,
remains as consistent as possible, and then to make the interior function to the best of one's
Yeah.
ability. If there is a municipal building or a privately owned
Right.
edifice. So all that information is helpful and really good. So that's sort of in the works, and you're having conversations back and forth. Okay. Have you all had a chance to look at the survey results that have come in so far?
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've read those.
Yeah,
Those are good.
I think I looked a few hours ago and I think it was 388 responses
Wow.
or something.
That's up.
I do.
Last time I looked.
Yeah, I've heard from a couple people that they haven't been able to access the survey. So I
Depends on your
talked to-
browser.
Yeah, well, I talked to Jean about that, and she said it's best to use Google as your browser. And so she had said that she would update the information, send out a final reminder. We need to decide what we want to have as our final date. and that she would put a note in there for people who have had difficulty accessing it, that they should try it using a Google browser. So initially, the final date was going to be the 27th of August, but Jean didn't get it out the weekend that it was initially planned to go out. So it was a few days later, and she hasn't put a closing date on it. So I think it would be good to have that final reminder with information about the browser. And what do you think the final date ought to be? We're now almost September 1st, the 30th.
Maybe a couple more weeks, and because I've talked to people who keep forgetting to do it, but they want to do it, so.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 weeks. I have a calendar here. Uh, 2 weeks would make it around September 15.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay, let's script for September 15. Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions about the survey so far?
when that's closed and when we start looking at that, how are we so we're going to incorporate all that into the report that we have thus far?
Yeah, we're going to take into consideration the input and the comments that we've received. I did ask Jean if we get anything more definitive, because we're getting these sort of pie charts that give percentages of responses. And she said, yes, we will get a more detailed final report that will have actual numbers of people that voted for ABC, whatever, so that we can take that into consideration. And then we have to talk among ourselves about how we use this information, what weight it has, how we introduce, some of the feedback that we've gotten in the comment sections. And, how that will affect our recommendations to the Board of Selectmen and whatever presentation we'll need to participate in at the town level. Because I think, if we can't just take the survey as the be all and end all for a decision. I think it's, especially if the town decides, if our recommendation is that the town should continue to own and maintain the building, then we really need to provide the information we're gathering for costs. Because for many people, it's a financial decision. For other people, the financial aspect of it is outweighed by the desire to keep something that's historic and maintain the character of the town. So there's a lot to take into consideration and discuss. We covered a lot of this in the first report, and we can go back and look at that and see how that can be added to and improved. But it's not going to be done by September, which was, I think, unrealistic considering that we're only just wrapping up the survey anyway. And Marge is away for the entire month of September. So, should we all just keep working on gathering the information that we've signed up for and omit a meeting in September, or begin to draft a report based on what we have after we get the final uh, the final survey report. Once it's closed, I don't know how long it takes to get the final report. It's something I think Jean has to work on and format. Uh, Okay, so does anybody have an opinion about whether we keep our meeting on the 8th of September? It's just another week away.
I mean, I don't mind that if, if Ed shows up, because if Ed doesn't, then we don't have a quorum. But then on the other hand, the survey is still going to the 15th. So unless we want to start talking about the data, then we might want to hold off.
That makes
I
sense.
think we should cancel that meeting. I don't think it makes
Okay.
sense just another week from now because the survey won't be closed.
Okay.
And not a great deal will have changed by then. So would you take note of that, Joyce? And then the next meeting would be, we're meeting well, we're also moving to evening meetings to accommodate your schedule, Glenn.
Yep, thank you.
And I think that will be also a lot better for Ed because he won't be iffy about whether he can, it's not during his regular work day.
I think so. So Thursday, October 13th, the second Thursday.
I am in New York at an
Hmm.
important meeting that day.
Hmm.
So we could do it the 6th.
I'm coming back late that day. I don't think I'll be in any mental shape to do a meeting,
Okay.
if I'm even home at
Well-
that point.
And that's a 4 o'clock Board of Selectmen. I mean, I could still do a 7 o'clock, but long day.
Well, would you rather do it a day other than Thursday? I mean, Thursdays, I don't care what day of the week it is unless there's something concrete that makes it difficult. We were doing Wednesdays once upon a time. Shall we wait till the week after the final close?
Yeah,
I'm trying to think if we do
Okay.
Wednesdays.
Do it on Wednesday, the 21st.
I'm trying to think. So the third Wednesday of the month. I think I can do that.
Okay, so why don't we put it down for then?
At what time? At 7 o'clock? Or earlier or later?
7's okay with me.
and what's the date? I don't have a calendar.
The 21st.
21st, okay.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm looking at September, sorry. No, that would be the 19th.
19th, okay.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that we have overlooked that we need to? I mean, that's everything that was on the agenda.
No, I'm looking forward to diving into the data. I think
Yeah.
that's the next really important thing we need to do.
Yep.
We need to really just see what
Yeah.
the people of Kent are saying. And I've looked in there, but it'd be great to start discussing that and seeing how we
Yeah.
present that in this report.
Okay, all right, well, that'll be our next endeavor. And the pieces, I think, we're kind of getting to the home stretch. So it would be
Good.
nice to, yeah, I'd like to be able to see if we can wrap things up in November. So if we could all get more concrete information about costs And one of the things that would have to be done in that respect is a full understanding of the ADA issues. I don't think Jean has a particular date set for meeting with John Worthington, but I do feel strongly that if we're not included in that meeting, we're gonna have to have a separate meeting with him. And then we might need to just, schedule that somehow as a special meeting. But it would be very much better if we're all in the same place at the same time and understanding the same information. So I hope that will happen. Okay, guys. Marge, have a great month.
Thank you.
Enjoy, Marge.
And
Counting
yeah,
the
and
minutes.
we'll see you when you get back.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks to everybody else. I'll try to bring Ed up to speed a little bit and make sure he can get working on some of the exterior, the landscaping issues. Okay. That's it for today.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Have a good one.
thanks a lot.